Hello, everyone, and welcome to Slapendipity, Hobos of Happy Slappy Town, Episode 5. My name is Devin, but you can call me Gibby, and I'm here with Eric, who you can call Eric.
Hi. You can also call me. I was trying to be fun and quirky, but I already used all of my nicknames in episode 1.
That's actually a very funny, and you didn't do this at all intentionally. I cannot emphasize enough for anybody listening. We do not plan these ahead of time. In fact, we intentionally don't talk about stuff and keep notes separate for what we want to talk about. But that's a phenomenal segue into something I actually wanted to talk about. Okay.
Okay?
So yesterday, I had a very one of the people that I work with that you used to work with. I was like helping them out throughout the day, and then we ended up going to dinner after work. And we continually used the word quirky to describe things and people. It became a meme between us because for context, and this might be a little too much context for people. In the first game in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, which is a series about these murderous animatronics based on Chuck E. Cheese. The animatronics in the first game, as they're coming to kill you, are described as getting a little quirky. They're getting a little quirky at night, and so all these memes were created where there's going to be like a gang of fellas on the town, walking down the street, just a group of lads, and the caption something like the boys get quirky at night. And in case anybody does not know, I have spent too much of my life producing video content about Five Nights at Freddy's, including a 9-hour long video. And so I kind of became known at work as the guy who made the way too long Five Nights at Freddy's video. And so people started quoting FNAF memes at me, including things getting kind of quirky. So me and my friend from work, his name's Ryan, we were talking about just like, oh, teehee, that is so quirky. And we were behind the bar and we were like, putting away some bottles, like, oh, this is quirky, that's quirky. Ended up going to Applebee's after work, some half apps after 10 p.m. And it'd be like, oh my god, teehee, the waiter is so quirky. Oh my god, that breadstick is so quirky. Um, so that's my segue. That's my quirky story, and that's it. That was quirky. I kind of wanted to talk about my breadstick adventure. And so the fact that you just said quirky at the start of this episode is like it it's serendipitous. That's why this podcast is called Slapendipity, because this kind of stuff just happens to us.
We're magic.
We're magic hobos.
That's what they call us. They see us walking down the street, and that's the meme caption. Magic
The
happens
hobos
at
will
night.
get quirky tonight.
So wait, what's this breadstick story?
So my breadstick adventure. First of all, I may have told a little fib. They were not breadsticks. They were
They were
pretzel
pretzels.
sticks. Yeah. So Eric, you used to work at the establishment I currently work at, but you
Correct.
were in the kitchen.
Yeah.
One of the things we sell are these soft little breadsticks. Would
Yeah.
you like to describe your experiences with these soft little breadsticks?
You mean pretzels.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we kept them refrigerated and we kept them uh, in the little drawer on the line. And we would get four in an order. We would put them on a sheet tray, stick it in the oven for I'm sorry, I messed up the process. You put them on a sheet tray, you drizzle them with butter and then salt them, and then you stick it in the oven for 2 minutes. If you wanted them a little less crunchy, though, you put it in for like a minute, 45, 50 seconds. And you take them out, and then you plate them by having two vertically and two horizontally on top of the vertical ones. And then you put it on the window and you hit the little bell. And then someone comes along and goes, pretzels. Oh, and then you realize that you forgot to put queso in because it comes with a 4 ounce ramekin of queso cheese. So you fill up one of those ramekins, put a little bit of parsley in it. It might have been cilantro. No. An herb like that. I'm pretty sure it was parsley. Put that in the queso. Then you split the pretzels. So there's the two pretzels horizontally and the two pretzels vertically. You open up the two pretzels vertically, like their legs, and you put the queso in between them. And then the person running the food is like, nice save. And then they go out and run it. And then the customer eats it. And then it comes back with like half of the queso still there.
Can I ask you how it feels that you can still like describe down to the number of minutes it takes to break the pretzels, like years after ceasing working in that kitchen? Like, how does it feel that that is ingrained in your memory to this extent?
Similar to other jobs I've had, which may or may not have had to work with area codes. Um, I don't. I remember useless things. Not that these are useless per se context, but they're not useful to me now. But like, I don't think this is any trade secret, but the New York area code is a split from like 100 to 108 to 109. Then it goes back to 110 to 114 is the first color of New York of the early hundreds. Then from 117 to 120, it's a different color. Then from 120 to 123 is a different color. 124 to 127 is a different color. 128 to 139 is like one of the previous colors I've listed. New York is like 4 different colors. It's crazy. And what am I going to do with that info? If I ever need a job there, I will just do that and then I will get a job back, I like to imagine.
Can I just say that should the horrible day ever come when you're like, you know what I should do? I should go work in that kitchen again. We no longer lattice the pretzels. We just lay them like all vertically next to each other. So that skill won't even transfer. We don't even do that anymore.
Why not? It
Because we
it
have
made
different
them look
plates now.
pretty.
You know the gross bowls we used to have that had like all these like fancy like little divots in them to make them look fancy.
They all got broken.
Well, first of all, it's just gross because it's really hard to clean those divots. But no, we just have very plain plates and bowls now, which is actually I think better.
I saw them the other day and I was not happy about it
I will say, like,
internally.
I not worry, but I do think to myself a lot. Like, the number one skill I have picked up working at the movie theater is like the exact muscle memory for scooping like a perfectly sized large popcorn and then like
Mm,
being able to multitask and make multiple sodas and like know exactly how much ice to get in one scoop to fit in the cup.
yep,
And
yep.
those skills are not transferable to anything. I'm like I've learned one thing at this job and it is scooping popcorn. And hopefully in no future job I will ever have in my life will I ever scoop popcorn.
LOL. I mean, you can transfer it over to your daily life. Like you could, you have your own glass at home, you scoop in some ice into it, you get the ratio right. But you
You know,
like, I don't,
what's actually kind of funny. One of our friends is or was a bartender, and they said that it's really annoying because now whenever they're like he's currently in college, so whenever he's like doing like a college party or like he's doing a family party at home, they're like, "Oh my god, you're a bartender. You can make all the drinks all day."
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what happened with me with cooking. I would like go to hang out with my friends, and it would be like the point of it was like, oh, it's like we're gonna do a grill out, and when this was like over the summer. I don't remember a few years ago, I guess. And my friend was grilling it and just having a rough time. And I was like, "Do you want me to do this?" And they just stopped, looked at me, turned their head 90 degrees to look at me, and was like, "You're a cook." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I am. Do you want me to take over?" He's like, "Yes, please."
When you I remember I think it must have been 2020 when a lot of our friends from work went to your house to have pizzas. I
Yeah,
don't remember the
I
exact
think.
context for that, but did you make those on the grill? That was the thing, right?
Yeah,
Something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
pizzas on the grill.
yep.
That's I don't understand. I'm an Italian. I cannot comprehend anything besides pizzas being in a big bread.
I mean, fair. It was more of my like dad's idea. Because he likes a nice thin crispy crust,
Mm-hmm.
and you slam it in the grill and you'll get that. Let me tell you.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, he's he is the real cook of the household. No disrespect to any of the other members.
No disrespect to your dogs.
Yes, that is clearly who I was referring to. Not like, I don't know, my mother or someone else, or my extended family. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, though.
So my pretzel stick story.
Let's get into these pretzels.
Okay, so for context, fellas, I used to my girlfriend, my previous girlfriend, my most recent girlfriend. She shared a house while she was in college with some of her classmates, and some of them were on the local like softball team, like for their school. And apparently, one of the duties of like being in on the team was to like work a shift at like the little snack bar. So after their games, they'd be left over with like literally hundreds of pretzels, like soft curly pretzels. And so
It's
they
pretty
would
great.
consistently just like bring the pretzels home and shove them in the freezer. So like
Mm-hmm.
my girlfriend at the time would like bring popcorn home from the movie theater, and then those girls would bring pretzels home from the softball games. And so there was just like an endless supply of pretzels and popcorn,
All the carbs you could want.
all the carbs you could want. And so us being like poor, not like super poor, but just like we're in our 20s and we're just hanging out. What are we going to eat? We're not going to prepare anything. We're not going to order food to come deliver to us. We're hungry. We going to eat the popcorn and the pretzels.
Yeah.
So I had so many pretzels back then that and again, these were some good pretzels. These were like from the local pretzel farm that they would like ship
Ooh.
in for a local game. So even though they were frozen and then thawed, they were good pretzels. And let me tell you, the pretzels that we serve at my job are not those good pretzels. They are
Rip.
trash pretzels. I cannot stand them.
Rip. They aren't that, unless they changed distributors.
They are the same.
And
I've just been
they're not
spoiled.
terrible. Okay, yeah, sure, sure. I just have to point out, the reason for that is they probably take much better care in their pretzel farming. It's really important to get temperature control and watering just right. They probably figured out their perfect formula for farming pretzels.
Yeah, again, like these were still frozen pretzels. I'm just sure that the dough manufacturing, like you said, something about the temperature, something about the water, they just care more about.
Yeah.
So at the movie theater, we advertise them as Bavarian pretzel sticks.
Okay.
So my favorite, one of my favorite things about working on at the bar on register there is when people just like totally flub their order and have no idea what they're talking about. For example, saying, "Hello, yes, can I have some Bavarian pretzels?"
Mm,
That's quite fun. It's very common for people to come in to see a movie and have no idea what the movie's called, so they either wing it and just totally guess, or they just start yelling the names of actors at our poor bartenders who don't know the names of any actors because even though they work in a movie theater, they're just there for the alcohol.
yeah, yeah,
Can
100%.
I see the movie with Anthony Hopkins? And the person's just like,
Is
you
he
got to give me more,
hot?
bro. I don't know who that is.
Is he not? Is he on the poster? He's over
It's
there.
the Holocaust movie.
Man.
Yes, Anthony Hopkins is currently, as the time of this recording, is in a new Holocaust movie, so I think that's really funny. Anyway, so about these Bavarian pretzels, the local hangout for all the cool kids in our town, that of course being Applebee's, has the same kind of pretzels. It must be the same brand, definitely the same distributor, identical looking. Eric, their pretzels are so much better.
Hmm.
Like so much
Hmm.
better. I don't know what they do. I don't know what the secret is. They're just so much better.
I mean, if I had to guess, they probably just sell more. So they probably use fresher, like, they're not frozen as long or something.
That is a possibility. Maybe like the fake butter topping we put on is
The
different than theirs or something. I don't
Yeah,
know, but their pretzels are
could
so
be
good.
that too. They might use their own salt. We use the salt. Well, I believe at least they used to use the salt that like came with the pretzels. They might have their own. It could all. Yeah, I think it's probably just that like they just sell more pretzels so they don't have to keep it frozen as long, and yeah, that's probably better.
That is that's actually some really good insight that I never would have thought of. I'm sitting here like it must be the butter. But yeah, going through them faster than we do, so they're not frozen for like 3 months in a freezer and then thawed and then sitting there thawed and then served. That actually does probably make a big difference.
Oh, 100%. I would be baffled if it didn't. Especially if like I know it used to, and these were very rare circumstances, but sometimes at theaters, not specifically any that we worked at, you let's say would get very low on your supply of pretzels that were ready, and then you just cook frozen ones, and then the outside's really done, but the inside is still cold. So then it's like it's not, and then you're just in an awkward position because you're like, we could cut it open just a smidge on the side. So
Like a hot
yeah,
dog.
so it like it gets inside the pretzel the heat a little bit more. Um, you know, some places might do that, but not
Some places, definitely not our fine
definitely
establishment.
not.
Speaking of hot dogs, were you there when we started serving hot dogs, or was that after your
So we
time?
served hot dogs before. I did not serve the hot dogs I have seen there recently, but we did used to sell them. A different kind of, because they're like street dogs or something, or like chili dog. We
Yes.
used to sell just like hot dogs, and I remember asking the boss like, "Why are we scoring them? Like, what does that actually do?" And he was like, "Oh, well, it makes it more even, and like when it doesn't like explode open from the heat because you scored them, it'll just naturally go through where we scored them, so you don't have you know you don't turn your hot dog into a flower blooming."
So you don't pop your meat tube.
Yeah.
Nothing. No. Okay. So, so for our upcoming menu, we're changing our kind of hot dogs. We're now gonna have foot long hot dogs.
Oh.
Yeah. So the first people to learn about the menu is, of course, the bartenders, not the kitchen, not literally anybody else, not the waiters, not anyone in the building. It's the bartenders who have to like sell the food. So they were behind the bar, and there's been like leaks and gossip because only the managers know what food's going to be on the new menu, but we don't even actually know. We just have some like minor guesses. So apparently it leaked to the bartenders that we're getting new hot dogs, but they didn't know what was new about them. So
Okay.
yesterday they asked me, and they're like, "Hey, like, is it true that we're getting like hot dogs and then we're also getting waffles?" And so I explained like, yeah, we're getting waffles. They're like frozen Eggo waffles, and we're gonna chop them up with some powdered sugar and some spiced maple syrup and some chicken, and it's gonna be really gross. And they're like, wow, that is gross. I said, yes, it is. And then I told them that we're getting the foot long hot dogs, and they're like, foot long hot dogs? How are the waiters gonna carry those? They're gonna be dipping off the trays. How are they supposed to like open doors? They're gonna be turning around and whapping people in the faces with hot dogs. And I'm like, I didn't say anything, but I'm like, how big do you think a foot is? Like,
It's too big. I
like,
can't fit it down my throat.
yeah, I'm like, this is the weirdest conversation I have ever heard where people are like pantomiming holding meat cylinders and talking about how it's too big. I'm like, what kind of world am I currently living in? I am at work. I would like to go home now.
I've seen the parallel universe. I need to get back. They should absolutely come with a chili, so you can do like a chili cheese dog.
Like so for I think I said this in a previous episode, but I do not eat meat and I've never had any of this food. What is a chili's purpose on a hot dog?
when you it's just more. It's just good. You've had chili, right?
No.
Like not even vegetarian chili? Would you be interested? I can get you vegetarian chili.
No.
Okay. So chili is, I mean, traditionally, has some spice to it, but it's, um, I mean, for meat, like ground beef and some beans and, all that goodness. That's where I stop thinking about chili. I just think about meat and beans. Um,
And this is why I've
and
never
it,
had it, folks.
but there is vegetarian chili of like you can just get beans and I like
So just
use
spicy
eggplant
beans,
or
spicy bean sauce.
it's spicy bean sauce, yeah. But if you are a someone like me who is a little sissy wissy with spice, it's pretty tame unless you are like at somewhere that actually does spices and spicy things. But the generalized chili that we have adopted is pretty tame, so it just adds like a fun little kick to the dog. You know what I'm
Do
saying?
not kick the dog, Eric.
It's not. I would never. I would
You would
never.
never. I really hope no one's like listening to this at like lunchtime or like right before they're about to eat because we're probably gonna make them very hungry.
Oh yeah. And then the cheese drizzled on kind of like soothes the spiciness, and it just melts in as you bite into it, and you think, "Oh yes, yes, it was worth waiting a month of not eating anything else for this."
Eating
You
anything
shouldn't.
for a month?
Yeah, I meant that's what I said. I meant to be like for not eating any junk food for like a
Okay.
month. It didn't come out that way though.
So that's kind of related to like my quirky pretzel adventure, I guess, where I've been doing my diet for a little while, and it's very good, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm not starving myself. I'm just eating good food. I'm eating some Greek yogurts. I'm eating some apples. It's a very good and I think healthy diet. Is something that's sustainable. And when I do have like little cheat days, I'm having like, oh my god, it's St. Patrick's Day. I'm gonna have a Shamrock Shake and find out that The Simpsons lied to me for 20 years.
Yep.
So this other day when me and my friend went to Applebee's, I had no intention of getting any food. I'm like, it is 10 p.m. It's not a meal time. I don't need any food. I'm not hungry. I'm gonna listen to my body. I'm not hungry, so I'm not gonna eat.
But those
And then we
pretzels,
get there,
dough.
and we're having a good time. Like me and him haven't like gone out together in a while. We're just chilling. It was a long, very long, stressful day at work, especially this past weekend. It was kind of crazy. So we're chilling, and like he's gonna get food, and I'm like, you know what? This is I'm gonna have this be more of like a celebration type thing. So I'm gonna
Sure.
order those very nice pretzel sticks, which are literally the only half apps that are vegetarian. So like that's my only option.
Yep.
Um, so
What
I'm gonna
about the
order the pretzel
mozzarella
sticks.
sticks?
I don't eat things that are fried in the same oil as meat, Eric. You know this.
The Yes, but there are some restaurants with like dedicated vegetarian fryers and dedicated meat fryers.
I do not think that the Applebee's in Happy Slappy Town is one of those.
You could ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. But anyway, the
So
prezzies.
the pretzels. So just very long story short, I order the pretzels, and again, I'm like the pretzels are like an accessory to the evening, right? Like they're just sitting there. Maybe I'll take a bite. No, but we're just talking. Like we're gonna hang out for a couple hours. We were there for like 2.5 hours. We left a little while after midnight, I think. And we're just gonna talk, and I have some pretzels, and then occasionally I can have a bite of the pretzel. Not even like dipping sauce. I'm not putting it in no mustard, not putting it in no beer battered cheese. I'm just taking a bite of the pretzel occasionally. Eric, I gulped down those 4 pretzels.
Oh
I could
yeah.
not stop. Those pretzels are so good.
Yeah, yeah.
And I am a pretzel connoisseur.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've tasted some amazing pretzels in my time. I'm very picky. I don't like the pretzels we sell. I'll only eat a good old fashioned pretzel, and these were so good that I could not stop eating them.
Yeah, yeah.
I broke my diet for a whore of a pretzel, and I feel so. I feel so like I don't feel bad today. It's not like, oh my god, I had so many pretzels last night I can't even walk. It's like, I'm just like, no, man, I had some pretzels. And it was a good evening.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They were quirky.
They were quirky. They tasted good. They did their job. The one of the things I will do, started doing, semi-relatedly, is not go out to eat. The goal is for like once a season, so like once every winter, spring, summer, fall. I don't know how realistic that is. I might change it to like be slightly more accommodating because I I I struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Not even struggle. It's just like it's so easy sometimes. Of just like this is just convenient. Like I just need food in my body, and this is right here. Anyway, the point though is I did that in February, and before February, I had not eaten fast food since like October or something like that. So when I did eat it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. This is like I just had like my mind became centered and I was like, I understand it all now. This is good and this is good as a treat. But eating this more than like twice a week like I used to do, I can 100% see how I got as fat as I did. And
No.
like but now I have like achieved enlightenment and like I should not deprive myself of it because I know that's not going to work. But also it is a fun treat. But also it should stay a treat. It should be like a celebratory thing or like a, whatever.
Yeah, that's how I had to start viewing ice cream. Like I love ice cream. It's amazing. It's one of the
Mm,
greatest things ever. And now I'm like, okay, I can have it occasionally as a treat. You know, the way that you're supposed to do it, not having like a quart every single night. Maybe that's not good.
mm, mm. I just really quick on ice cream. Uh, I don't know if I said this, but I don't care that much about ice cream, but I do like ending my nights on something sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So I will just literally get a tablespoon and have like 1 or 2 tablespoons of ice cream, and I'm like, I'm done. That's it. And then it goes in the freezer, and I do that like every other day when there is ice cream in the house. So that's rough. That's rough for you. I guess I'm just gloating about how good my ice cream control is because I don't
Yeah.
care about it that much. I'm sorry.
So I was gonna ask if you consider pizza to be in the same realm as like fast food.
No.
Okay, because I'm
That's kind of a
certain,
cop out.
fairly certain you had pizza last night.
I did. To me, fast food is like Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, Arby's, things like that. Like Applebee's is a little bit of a weird gray area because it's like a fast food restaurant.
It's a
Like it's
restaurant,
a
yeah.
chain restaurant. So it's like not the best for you, but you can also just like have an actual like you could have like steak and broccolis. There was one time we went to Chili's. Was it Chili's? I don't know. I went somewhere and I was like, yes, let me have the chicken and Brussels sprouts, please. And then it was so good. People sleep on Brussels sprouts.
Cannot say I'm a fan.
You should try them air fried.
Maybe.
So they get nice and crunchy. You get the good sauce with them. You dip it. It's oh, delicioso.
So at my house, we got an air fryer for our dog. We
Yes.
we air fry like sweet potatoes for her, and so then like my mother and brother also use it. So like it's fine. It's cool. It's fine. It's whatever. Whenever this air fryer is turned on, it produces like a smoke that apparently nobody else in my house can smell or see or tell is happening, and it gives me the absolute worst migraines.
Hmm.
I can literally walk in the door and say, "Did you guys use the air fryer?" Because I just got a headache. Like walk in the door instantly hits me, I have to go outside. Like, I cannot be in the house within a few hours of
Wild.
the air fryer being used.
Do they air fry meat in it?
So, yes, my little brother does air fry meat in it, which is why I've never used it personally. But the only thing that gets to me is when we do the sweet potatoes for the dog.
Mm.
So it's not like, oh man, it smells like meat. That makes me nauseous. It's like, no, there's something in the sweetness of the sweet potatoes or something. Like something's going wrong in there.
Well, I remember one time when I came over to your house and you weren't there, but your brother and mother were, because I was seeing your brother, and I was like,
It
"Oh
is
no,
so much more suspicious for you to just say, I'm seeing your brother, than for you to state the
yes,
fact that you were over to play Dungeons and Dragons.
listen, I gotta have a mystique. I'm quirky." I think one of them was like doing the air frying for sweet potatoes, and I was like, "Oh, what smells like French toast or like cinnamon?" And they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, we're air frying sweet potatoes. Is that is that the smell Devin's always complaining about?"
hmm
So I wonder if it's just like too sweet for you.
Like, I can't emphasize enough, it's not the smell. Like, whenever they do it, it smells like an electrical fire, which is a sweet, smoky scent. But it makes like my teeth hurt, like my jawbone hurts.
That's wild.
It tastes like electricity. Like and I can't explain it. If anyone's ever smelled an electrical fire before, it's a sweet smelling smoke. But it makes like the bones in my face hurt, and it makes like my cheeks flare up.
It's so intense.
So yeah, it's like I can't do it. I cannot do it. It made me throw up at least once. But like now, at least I know what the issue is. So I would complain about this and talk about this and be like, no, like you cannot fry the potatoes if I'm going to be home. Like, no. And
Hmm.
like my mom was like, okay, whatever. We just won't do it when you're home. But my little brother was like, not having it. Like,
Mm.
that's stupid, is whatever. So one day I'm like, I'm going to see if anyone else in the world has this problem. Because like I know I'm not making it up. I am very sensitive to like like I have asthma. We had these giant wildfires in Canada, and the smoke like drifted to the entire east coast of the United States, and the sky turned red, and it looked like the world was ending. And I was like dying.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
you had to come and bring me like actual N95 masks or whatever they're
K95
called.
and N95.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
was like, how I need someone to get in a car because I can't drive, and I need them to drive me like 200
A
miles
box of
west.
masks.
Like you need to drive me to Ohio so I can like not die.
I don't think Ohio would have cut it, but yeah.
Yes. I ended up being fine, whatever, but like I do definitely have a sensitivity to like mold and smoke and stuff like that. Just like I have bad breathing. So when my little brother was like, "Oh, there's no smell, it's not real." I'm like, "Well, it is. I'm just more like sensitive to it." So I decided to Google it to see if anyone else has these problems. And on the Amazon page for this specific air fryer, I found tons of reviews of people stating the exact same thing that I was experiencing. People are like, I can't
Interesting.
even use the fryer outside because it infects the entire house and then I can't breathe. And people are like, this thing smokes every time I use it. Like, it's horrible. So I screenshot like 25 of these and I walk into my living room where my mother and brother are. And I open my phone and I just start reading them to them. And I'm like, this,
Balls.
I feel so like
Vindicated.
vindicated. I'm like, I have done it. I have proven I am not crazy. It's not just me and my poor, deficient lungs. There is in fact a problem with our machine. Thank you for your time.
LOL. Nice. Stuck it to him.
Stuck it to him. It's still like not good. Like we still use it, we still have it, and it still pains me. But I will do it for my dog. She deserves the world.
That's fair. That's fair. I feel like it though, like there should be like a recall on those fryers, or like you, they they're like, "Do you want to do an exchange?" We get it.
Yeah, like a lot of people on Amazon were like, I returned mine. Unfortunately, we were outside of our return window.
Rip.
But I'm like, yeah, like if I bought it for myself, obviously I would have returned it immediately. But people kept telling me that there was no smell.
Right, yeah.
There were no little smoke goblins invading their nostrils and making their teeth feel like they were being jackhammered. It's just me. I'm crazy. They gaslit me.
Gaslight gatekeep girl boss. I
Yes.
actually have something to bring up that's pretty related in a way, in the way that the quirky was.
Okay, okay.
I was thinking today, I wasn't even thinking actually. I was playing uh, Runaway by Aurora in my head today.
I
And
don't know what that is.
Aurora is I believe, Swedish female singer artist. She is like, I personally think she like is what Manic Pixie Dream Girl is. Like, I
Okay.
feel like Manic Pixie Dream Girl is like, haha, it's the default woman, I'm so quirky, haha. And it's
So
so
quirky.
quirky. And it's like, no, she is Manic Pixie Dream Girl. She is like, just like, I don't know, watch some interview. Like, she lives in the countryside and like bakes, and that's all you need to be a Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
No, what? That sounds so basic.
It is. That's the point. But she's just like, she is just quirky and actually in such a way. Anyway, I'm derailing myself.
That's the entire point of this podcast, Eric. I don't know if you've caught on or not, but I started by saying, let me tell you about some breadsticks, and we haven't finished that story, and it's been 40
Oh
minutes.
no. Um.
Continue.
Anyway, she's a popular singer. Do you remember Frozen 2 into the movie?
Yes, I have seen Frozen 2.
You know the song Into the Unknown?
I was about to sing it, decided against it. Yes, I know Into the Unknown.
Right. So you know how there's Elsa singing and she's like ba 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 ba, right?
Sure.
You know how there is like the secret siren and there's like someone going like you know?
Yes, and I definitely watched the movie more than once in the last 5 years. Indeed, I recall this.
Excellent. She is the secret siren. Like that's her voice.
Okay.
Um
Okay.
and so she has like a bunch of songs. She's like pretty big, I would say. She also did like one of the songs on the One Piece live action.
Hmm.
So I was just playing her like number one song on Spotify, Runaway, in my head. And I was like, well, this is an excellent thing to bring up on the podcast because we've brought it up with ourselves, but never on the podcast. Because for me, I do need a certain amount of like intimacy with like the knowledge, voice, subject, whatever. But like when I say I was playing the song in my head, like that is an accurate like I took what Spotify plays and it was in my head and I was playing it in my brain. Admittedly, it
Hmm.
was only for certain parts. I don't know the entire song. But then I was like, wait a minute. The internal monologues thing. Wait a minute. Can Devin play songs in his head? And I just tested it
So
out.
for reference for people, there's and I hate to bring this up because it's such a convoluted like
We'll be
topic.
brief.
And I hate to even introduce it because I'm going to be biased, but like apparently there are people out there who do not have internal monologues. Like there are people out there who do not think to themselves or like cannot picture images or sounds or something in their mind. Like when I'm talking, not only am I seeing what's physically in front of my eyes and like making words, but I'm thinking the words I'm going to say long before I say them. Like I have the end of the sentence already planned out, like I've already heard it in my mind's ear. Like I've already heard it echoing around in my head before I can say it because I slow down my speech to be like comprehensible to people at home and to the people I'm speaking to. Like I knew I was going to take a long pause and then emphasize comprehensible. One, because I'm really good at public speaking, and so they just kind of like teach you how to do that kind of stuff. And also because that's just like how normal human speaking patterns work. So I need to take the words in my brain and then change them to be things that human beings normally speak as. If I'm sitting in silence, I'm usually like thinking multiple things at once, and like my brain and my train of thought can jump around to different topics at once. When I'm listening to stories or telling stories, I'm always imagining like a movie, like either in the first person or in this like over the shoulder video game camera perspective. Like when I was talking about Applebee's and pretzel sticks earlier, like I was imagining the steaming, smoking plate of pretzel sticks on the plate right in front of me at the Applebee's, and I could see the TV on the wall over my friend's shoulder that was like showing some weird skiing thing. And when Eric was describing to me before the process of putting the pretzels in the oven, I was like watching him do it in my mind's eye. And then he would bring in other characters, like, oh, the waiter came to pick it up. And then, like, I just picked a random waiter that used to work with us from my memory. And that person, that character, walked over and picked up the plate. And then Eric gave them, like, a wink and a wave. And then they walked away. And, like I gave Eric a big chef's hat in my imagination, even though he didn't, like, wear anything like that in work. But, like, he had, like, a big apron and a chef's hat in my mind's eye. And that's just, like, how I think. And it astounds me that other people don't think that way. One of our friends from high school, his name's Ryan as well, not the same Ryan I got the breadsticks with. He says that he doesn't think in words, he can only think in pictures. And I don't understand the inability to not think in pictures or not think in words. Because like it like in real life, I hear words and I see things with my eyes. So in my head, I can hear words and see things with my mind's eye, and that's just how it works. So we've had a lot of conversations about like, what do you imagine when you imagine an apple? And so that was sort of the idea that led to you asking this question, Eric, which is that you can hear music. Is that something that you couldn't? Are you which team are you on when it comes to hearing things in your brain?
Oh yeah, I mean I can make one-to-one copies.
Yeah, so I can, if I know someone's voice very well, like your voice, like I can imagine you saying things in my head that are words that you've never said before. Like
Oh no.
if I want Eric to sing the Star Spangled Banner off key, I can imagine your voice doing that, and it probably sounds exactly like how your voice would sound doing that.
It's so close to being AI.
So that's actually really funny that you say that. I don't know if you remember this, but when the AI voice stuff was first getting big, I used one to create a clone of my own voice because I wanted to go through some of my videos for like, oh, I messed up this word or I messed up this phrase. I want to redub over it. But whenever you redub over like audio, it's really obvious that it's a different recording session just because of like the volume of your voice or the settings on the microphone. So I'm like, okay, if I train a voice model using the audio from this video, it should also like pick up the white noise, and so it'll sound more seamless. It didn't end up working that way. Maybe one day in the future it'll work that way, but it did not 8 months ago when I did this. So I created a voice model of myself. One other thing that you folks at home might not know about me, but you will very quickly pick up, is that I do not say swear words. Can you confirm this,
It's
Eric?
a good Catholic boy.
I have never said a swear word in my life for any reason. In my 9 hour, I don't think any of our friends have watched my 9 hour long Five Nights at Freddy's video, have they, Eric?
I don't know. I haven't.
So
Lovingly.
like 8 hours into that, there's a scene that takes place in the afterlife. And so I need to say the H word. In the
Did you
video,
just
if
say
you watch it,
HE double hockey sticks?
it's like the climax of the video, basically. It's like the emotional gut punch at the end. So like I can't just say like heck or spell it out or whatever. Like I have to say the word. So if you watch the video, I say the word.
Okay.
The thing is, I didn't say the word. I said helicopter really slowly and then chopped off the end.
Yeah. See, to me, like that is like you tell yourself what you need to, but like,
Like 4 million people have heard me say a word that I did not say. Anyway, when I trained the AI
anyway,
voice model on myself, I had it say like all of the swear words. And I was like, guys, this is what it would sound like if I had ever said any of these words before. Compare it to your inner monologue's ability to mimic words, because like no one has ever heard me say these, only ever in your mind's eye, but now a robot can do it for you. Now you can finally hear what it would sound like if I said the F word.
Magical.
Do you remember when I posted that in the group chat?
I don't. I'm sorry.
You probably were like, "What's Devin posting? Another Star Wars meme? I'm not gonna click on this."
I honestly, probably my train of thought. No offense. There's only so much Star Wars.
Whenever someone in the chat starts posting like, "Oh my god, there's new Magic the Gathering cards that came out," I just like skip the entire conversation, which sometimes is a problem because like important information will be buried in the middle of it. I'm just like, "Oh, okay, Magic cards. I'm not reading all these."
Yeah.
So I understand, Eric. I do like Magic the Gathering. I'm just not gonna read cards and then like because I'm not gonna retain them. It's just not happening.
Well, yeah, you have your card
I
timers,
have
which
card timers.
But you know what else we should have?
What else should we have?
This break. Keep your pretzels nice, hot, and toasted, and we'll come back and finally get to Devin's quirky pretzels.
Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum.
And Lagrange Chase never disappointing us again, just like we may have disappointed that you without that climax to the pretzel story. But better late than never, and here we go for Devin to bring us home with his pretzels.
Bring us home to home plate because you eat pretzels at baseball stadiums. Boom! What a great segue. Before I continue, I do want to say that we currently do not have any emails from fans or listeners. But if you want to send something in, send it to slapendipity@gmail.com. There's no double letters back to back. It's just SLAPENDIPITY slapendipity@gmail.com. So the point of my breadstick pretzel story that I wanted to get to was that here I am being a good boy, following my diet, and just the presence of these immaculate, glorious pretzel sticks made me feel like I had to order them because, like, oh, we're at a social setting, we're at a restaurant, so I have to get them. And then when they were in front of me, I'm like, okay, I feel like I have to take a bite. And I took a bite, and I'm like, these are so good. I'm like a cocaine addict. Like I'm gonna eat all these pretzels, and I did. And so it really showed me that like, okay, the negative outcome, which is I ate way too many pretzel sticks, only arose because I felt like if I bought food, I had to eat some of it. And I felt like I had to buy food because I was at a restaurant. And I went to a restaurant because I wanted to hang out with one of my friends outside of work. And so these social norms and customs led me to this state where I was confronted with like my addiction, my glorious pretzel sticks, which led me to like cave in to breaking my diet. And again, I cannot emphasize enough how ravenously I ate these pretzel sticks when they were in front of me. And so I guess the climax, the point of the story is I realized that like you just say no. I did not have to eat the pretzel sticks. I could have simply not ordered them. I could have not been in this tempting situation where the devil's pretzel sticks were staring me down. Also, I want to emphasize pretzel sticks are not a metaphor for like something bad. I'm literally talking about baked bread with salt on them. And so, Eric, I guess I wanted to ask you, because you were just saying earlier how you're like, oh, I don't want to go out to eat more than once a season, which is a weird way of phrasing it, but we can get back to that. But like, how, do you feel like a lot of issues with dieting or just like trying to live your best life are made more difficult because of societal expectations?
Well, let me bust out my pen and notepad. Yes. One of the things, I have another friend who we like to hang out, but we also normally go out to eat to hang out. And they don't have like a food problem per se, but they have like a money issue. And they're just not like that it's so bad or anything, but like, just like eating out every single time you go to like see a friend. Like it just adds up. And they were like, "Oh, hey, like can we like go on a walk or something instead?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And we were like, "Well, where do we walk?" And like thankfully there was a park by them that we walked to and it was fine. But I actually watched a video on how there is a lack of third places in the world. If we assume that your first place is your home, your second place is your work, your third place would be a place that is outside of the first two places, but is also a like communal open space that you do not need to like pay for in so many ways, right? Like a park or a library or one of the examples that this video gave was like, in Friends, like the cafe that they hang out at was their third place. And the point of the video is basically just how like there are third places are like shrinking, and especially with like companies like and stores like just popping up, and loitering is a law. Like it is illegal to just hang out in front of a store in it. Like you have to buy something. um I mean, obviously it's, how enforced it is a little like, you know up to
Yes.
the scenario. Like the Walmart that I have definitely hung out at and just wandered the Walmart, like they never did do anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the hangout areas in our town are Walmart, the movie theater, and the local convenience store gas station that's 24 hours.
Yep.
And so, like, people go and they either hang out at the movie theater, they walk around the aisles of Walmart and, like, window shop, which is so sad because it's Walmart, or
Yep.
they're in the back of the gas station around, like, the dumpster area. And I don't just mean, like, the
Mm-hmm.
local teenagers, I mean, like cars and SUVs and caravans of people who just come to hang out at the gas station at 1 a.m.
Yep.
Like, it's just the
It's
spot. And it's all we have in the
yes.
Happy Slappy Town.
Yes, 100%. And it's so stupid.
Yes. I mean, we go there and we do it, and it's just stupid that our parks close at sundown. So the cops, I don't know if I've ever told you this story, Eric, but the cops came when some of our buddies from work went to like talk on the swings instead of at the gas station. Like, hey,
Right.
let's hang out and go on the swing set in the nice, beautiful floral park. And then a cop car came and kicked us out because it was after sundown. So we had to go back to the
Yep.
dumpster area at the gas station because that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah,
Get
stupid.
nay-nayed.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's really dumb. I agree.
There was in the height of like the Pokemon Go summer,
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of friends and I went to probably the same park you're talking about, maybe it wasn't.
It was the
And we were
library.
just, yeah.
Yes.
And so we were just like playing Pokemon Go because hey, the Pokemon Go like spots to get resources are the library, the park, the playgrounds. It's, stuff like that. So this cop was like already like talking to someone else, like with their own car, like writing up a ticket or something, or questioning why. We were like, a couple, maybe 100 feet away. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but then he saw like, a group of like 5, 6 kids, teen, like, early 20s kids, and was like, and just kind of shouted like, "What are you doing?" We just shouted back, "Playing Pokemon Go." And he just like was like, "Get out of here." And we're like, "Okay." Uh, but I've also like gone on walks at night, and like I will just come across a place like it was so funny. I was walking with my brother, and we were just walking as you do, and we decided to like cut through the church to get to to continue our walk. And so the church is also at night a spot for cops to like wait and, catch someone for speeding or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So this cop just happened to be leaving the church. And so he drove by us. And I was like, don't worry, it's going to be fine. And my brother went, what? And the cop that drove by us slammed on the brakes, went in reverse. And my brother was like, what's happening? And I was like, don't worry, it'll be fine. Leave it to me. And this cop rolls down his window and is like, what are you guys doing? And I was like, we're on a walk. And he was like, a walk, huh? And I was like, yeah, that's right. We're just cutting through the church. And he was like, don't you think that's pretty weird? And he's like, no. He's like, oh. And then he just drove away. and we then complained about the cop for an hour.
What's so funny
What were
is
you?
like no, just I have two stories, but like that's the local Catholic church, and you guys are Catholic. Like that's arguably your church, and,
Yeah.
and you're walking through the parking lot is apparently like something the cops gonna stop you for. It's so dumb.
It's so dumb.
But I was gonna tell the story about it must have been 2016. It must have been Pokemon Go summer. Me and you were at our friend Drew's house, and then we were driving home, and we pull into that same church because it's also a Pokemon gym. And so
Mm-hmm.
we pull next to each other, park our cars like the front of my car is facing the back of your car, like parallel
Yes.
though. We're facing opposite directions. I open the driver's seat door, you open the driver's seat door, we have our phones out, we're battling the gym. We're just doing Pokemon Go.
Yep.
And a cop car pulls into the parking lot because it's like nighttime and there's these two cars. And he gets out of the
Drug
car, and
deal.
before he can say anything, I just hold up my phone and I go, "We're playing Pokemon." And he's like, "Oh, okay." He doesn't even come over to talk to us. He just walks away.
Yeah.
And then I'm
Yeah.
like, "I'm sorry. Does this police officer believe that in this heavily trafficked area, in this church, like the church isn't like secluded in the woods. It's not whatever. It's like it's on the main street. Does he think that
Mm-hmm.
we're doing a drug deal? That like you're
Oh
picking up a
yeah.
prostitute? Like these two young guys are sitting
100%.
in their car in the open town church parking lot right next to some cops that are driving around, and like does he think we're being suspicious because it's literally the least likely place to be doing anything suspicious?
Yeah. Well, I part of the problem I would say is that rather than cops having something to do, they just are like, well, I'm just gonna patrol and see what I can find, and then you can't write someone up for like playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I must say that obviously like the all of these instances of like run-ins with the police, like no one ever got like in trouble or anything. They just walk over and they're like,
No.
"Get out of the park."
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Uh, But and here's part of the thing though, right? Because this was brought up because of the lack of third places and um like what is the value of the park being closed at dusk or whatever or 5 o'clock
Yeah.
whenever
Safety.
the time is? Safety. And like supposedly at one of those times like a cop came and was like, wow, what are you doing? And I was like, and he kicked me out. But he was like, well, no, people have been like breaking into the like because it's like, oh, it's a big park with like football fields, and they were like, he was like, some there have been reports of like someone breaking into the like community shed and like stealing football equipment. I was like, okay, I guess it's a little warranted for tonight and like maybe a week, but like what did closing a park at dusk is just trying to arguably just be like, no, homeless people, you can't sleep here, we'll we'll arrest you, or like you can't do drug deals there. Drug deals are gonna happen anyway.
Yeah,
Not that
like
there's a ton of them, but like I have definitely gone into one of the parks at night, seen a car, and then another car pulls up a minute later, and I'm like, I'm just walking. I'm just walking. And like I don't know what they were doing, but it was a quick interaction. And And alternatively, I've seen a car pull in and then it just starts shaking. And I'm like, I know my business. I will leave now.
yeah,
Give you two some privacy.
remember the super safe back lot of the gas station all the kids hang out at because we can't go to the park.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you see happen there one time, Eric?
I saw a prostitute get arrested.
You saw a prostitute get arrested? It sure is great. It
Oh,
sure is great that we have all the
you
kids hanging
know.
out there because they can't be on the swing set at night.
Yeah. You know. It's crazy. It's crazy. But also, even if you didn't want it to be a park, because fuck parks, I guess. I'm so sorry. Frick parks. Um, like, I don't have the library be 24 hours and create some jobs that way. Or like make I don't know, like, like there should be more places that people can just exist in without spending money.
I would rather pay our cops to patrol the park so that any teenagers who are there aren't like doing the drugs and having sex in the bushes if it means that the teenagers can also play on the playground and on the swing set instead of having a cop be paid to stand there and kick people out. Like
Yeah,
what's the difference? Like
they'd have to be stationed, I guess.
like how about you turn the big floodlights on so that no one's like
Dude, I
screwing around in
hate
the
those
dark.
floodlights.
You what?
I hate those.
You know what? That is true. I bet the people who live by the park would probably complain if they were on all hours of the night. So scratch that. Um, but like, yeah, if we're gonna be paying the cops to patrol the park anyway, then just let the people be there.
Yeah.
It's like
And
it's so annoying.
it's so funny too, because it's like, well, it's closed and blah blah blah. And if you couldn't tell from the story that I have been multiple stories I have been telling, I go to these parks at night. Other people, I have seen other people go to these parks at, like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't catch everyone.
Yeah.
Like, things will happen, and it's like, just don't resist it. Like, work with the flow
Mm-hmm.
and find an answer through those means rather than stubbornly for like no reason going against it of like, well, it prevents the drug deals and people have been stealing football equipment. Okay, station someone here.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a better deterrent
Yeah.
than
The crime
every other hour patrol?
the crime shouldn't be being at the park at night. The crime should be doing things that are illegal. And if that happens at the park at
At the
night,
park
then
at night.
you get rid of those people. Like
Yeah.
it's not it's just silly. It's silly, especially in like Happy Slappy Town. Like we should have safe public spaces for kids. Like they're and again when I say kids, I'm talking 17 to any age to 30-year-olds. Like again, I went there with our work buddies after a very stressful day of work just to hang out because we wanted to be in the fresh air and we wanted to vent about our boss and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And being able to go to the local park is something that should have been easy for us to do, but instead we got kicked out, and it's just so silly.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even have a home to go back to because I'm a hobo here in Happy Slappy Town. That's lore. It's canon.
It's rough out
Mhm.
in Slapendipity hobos of Happy Slappy Town, you know?
I know.
Gotta make a Lincoln log cabin. Real life sized.
I do want to bring up one thing.
Okay. Hit me.
No, I have no fancy.
At a park at night.
No fancy segues this time. For the last couple episodes, going back to episode 1, really, we've brought up like tarot cards and angel readings and stuff like that.
Yes.
So as I've been saying for a few episodes, some of my coworkers and friends have like really gotten into them. Like, oh my god, let's consult the cards. And as I've also said, I do not believe in them. I see it as like an interesting coincidence, right? Like, oh, this card isn't the card I need because it's magic or whatever. It's like there's 60 or so cards that you could possibly draw, and so there's a 1 in 60 chance that you draw the quote-unquote right one, right? Like, if I'm like, I'm going to draw the 2 of diamonds from a deck of cards, and then I do, like, that's really cool.
Mm.
So that's kind of like the vibe that the interest I have in, like, playing with the cards. So last Wednesday, we were doing our weekly Wednesday polling, drawing, reading, whatever it's called. And we've now sort of, by my complaining, we've worked some more theatrics into the game of pulling the cards. We're not just randomly drawing them anymore. We're doing a whole
LOL.
rigmarole. So what you're supposed to do is when you're drawing a card, you're supposed to be thinking of a very specific question or like an
Correct.
idea. Like what do you want the
Yes.
cards to be answering? And so this ongoing question problem that I've been having is, should I quit my day job to do content creation full time? And so I was thinking this. I'm like, yeah, this. And as I'm thinking it, I'm pulling my cards. And so I get the reverse 10 of Pentacles.
Hmm.
The reverse 10 of Pentacles, I pulled this up from the internet. It's slightly different than like the little fun booklet that we get when you buy a deck, but this is generally what it means. So I drew the 10 of Pentacles upright, not reversed. I'm a big dummy pants. So the 10 of Pentacles upright, the reading is, the 10 of Pentacles deals with permanence and satisfaction. The card shows that everything you have put your efforts into for a long time will pay off in the future. It suggests that everything will work out in the end. If you have a business, you're in the process of building something that is lasting.
Okay. That's a good positive card.
Well, my thing with the whole going back to like the drawing the statistics of it is, I asked, should I focus more on my YouTube business or should I stay at this job? And it said, do the business. Like that's
Yeah, it said
clearly, there's
yes.
no other interpretation of what these words can mean. But that's not the punchline, Eric. Do you want to know the punchline?
Tell me your punch.
So that was like, we did two different drawings. The first was just, oh, okay, everyone do their daily drawings, and we did that at like a table. But then later in the night, we all sat in a circle on the floor and we were asking very specific questions. And so when it became my turn, I asked the same question again. I'm like, this isn't just my daily drawing. This is my like, oh, great magic conch shell, what should I do now question. And the question was, should I quit my job and do YouTube full time?
Hmm.
I drew the 10 of Pentacles upright again.
Yep.
And that is just weird.
Yep.
Again, it's like, I'm going to draw the 2 of diamonds, and then I do. And then I shuffle the deck, and I say, I'm going to draw the 2 of diamonds, and I do again.
Yeah.
It's weird, Eric.
Oh no, I know. It's happened to me. like I will ask a question and be like, okay, sure. And then like 5 minutes later I'll go back and re-ask it and be like, no. But really now. And it's the same thing. And it's like, okay, the deck told me its answer and that is the answer. And okay.
It's serendipity. So there's 78 cards in a tarot deck, but you got to remember that they can be upright or reversed, so it's actually double that.
Yes.
So you can draw
So
156 cards.
so the odds of drawing a card twice, not including the reverse, is 1 in 72, which would be about 0.019%.
The same card twice?
Yes.
No, it that would be 1 in whatever 78 times 78 is. You multiply the chances.
Yes. And then to get a percentage value, you divide.
Yeah, so the chances of drawing the same card twice is 1 in 6,084.
Yeah, it's a really tiny number.
Yes.
I'm not good at math, is my point. So yeah, when the tarot speaks, it says its mind, and then you listen
Yeah.
or don't.
Drawing the same card in the same, upward or reverse is 1 in 24,336.
Now percent that for me.
Um,
It's very
1 divided
small.
by 24,000. 0.00004.
And there you have it.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Can I just say,
Yeah.
talking about percentages, the main like quote unquote interesting percentage that like comes up in our life is the chance of rolling 2 criticals in a row in Dungeons and Dragons.
1 in 400.
Which is 1 in 400, and we know that like the back of our hand because it's so like oh my god, that's a 1 in 400 chance. You rolled 20 twice on a 20-sided die. So
Yes.
like the reason I know that, I guess this kind of goes back to our mnemonic devices from last episode. The reason I know that 20 times 20 is 400 is because of that fun little D&D fact. So when I'm at work and
Okay.
I'm counting the drawers at the end of the night and I'm counting the $20 bills, I break it into piles of 20 because I know that 2020s is 400.
Nice. Nice. That's how we do it here in Slapendipity Hobos of Happy Slappy Town, the podcast, not how we do it in Happy Slappy Town.
This might be our most like coherently themed episode yet. Like, oh my god, food and statistics.
Food and statistics, that's all you need. Baking is just science.
Baking is just science that we don't understand yet.
I mean, no, we understand it.
Thank you for listening. Please send your letters to slapendipity@gmail.com.
Play us out of here. Goodbye. Do 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 do.